Adversity? Bring it. The struggle? We welcome it. Snooze on life? Never that. We are Dave Regina and Mike Pirelli, and this is the No Snooze Podcast. Come on.
Welcome back, No Snooze Podcast, episode 128. I'm in the booth with the big three, my favorite three. Michael, the show Pirelli, Claudio, the voice, Valenzuela, and I am Dave, the body, Regina, as Michael, the show Pirelli, opens up a nice sugar-free Red Bull
Attaboy.
To start the ep. So I have to come in hot right away and tell you a little funky story that happened to me. Well, two things. One, I've been telling you that I needed to go tanning. So I sat my ass in a tanning bed for 10 minutes. One, I still look white. And two, I just have a burnt ass. Right? So that's not good.
How'd you sit? Did you sit ass up?
No, I just laid there. like I was in a coffin.
I think you're too big.
Like I was in a coffin.
The tanning bed's probably like, I don't know what's in here, but yeah, the tanning bed probably just rejected it.
So that was one. I wasn't too pleased about that.
You ever make a sandwich and you put too much meat and you're trying to close it? That's
the thing. It didn't really come down. Now that you say that, the thing wasn't really coming all the way down, so maybe I didn't get like the full tan.
The light didn't close, so it was probably shooting at the girl at the front desk.
But I was still, my ass just was so burnt. I'm like, how do people do that?
So that I've never been in a tanning bed, man over here.
Try it.
So you lay face first?
No, not face first. You
And
lay
how'd
on
your
your back
cheeks
like
get
a
burnt?
coffin, bro, and then you pull it down.
But how'd your cheeks get burned?
You're laying on lights.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so there's
like
lights.
a little grill. You're like a little George Foreman.
Yes.
This is
The
like my
big
air
George.
fryer.
I was the big George.
The big George Foreman.
I was the big George Foreman. So there's LED lights on the bottom that you lay on, and then you pull the door down, and there's LED lights on the top. So it tans your whole body, but this only tanned my ass.
Only the cheeks.
Yeah, I only got the cheeks.
So that being said, I'm the type that like if I spend money on something, I want to see it's like come to fruition and be able to use it. Are you gonna like start rocking thongs? Like what's the approach?
I don't
now?
know. I think I'm gonna put something under my cheeks next time because I'm not feeling that.
Yeah.
And I was just like, it was burning. I should have thought about it prior.
So like,
Maybe I should put my face on.
reverse like what people typically do.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Usually your cheeks are the white part,
Right.
and now they're the tan part.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And then it was weird because like my arms, like the middle of my arms, no tan whatsoever. And then like you had a little tan on the bicep, little tan on the tricep.
I'm beating
Bizarre.
a dead horse here, but I
Bizarre.
hate to say when they invented a tanning bed, they weren't thinking of your body type. You know what I mean?
I think so.
That's why bodybuilders go to like the spray.
They get sprayed.
Because there's so many crevices and angles to your fucking body,
That's
pardon
true.
my French.
That's true.
If I did a tan perfectly level, like beautiful, even tan.
Just flat.
Yeah.
So I felt like you this weekend. I'm not gonna lie.
In what sense? Pale?
No.
Oh, look at that. Karma.
My iPad fell. Hold
Instant.
on. No. So you get these like night terrors things, right?
Yeah, Livy does toots kind of now.
Yeah. So I went out. Let's humbly say I had a couple of drinks.
How many?
I was
Honestly,
with
how
4
many?
bottles of Hennessy, but I was
No.
with I mean, it was 4 of us, but we got a little jiggy.
Jesus Christ.
It's all right.
That's called
But
getting jiggy.
It was an extended evening, to say the least. All right?
4
But it
bottles.
started early though. Like we were doing like a little football, so it was probably like 4:00 till like 4 in the morning. Quick 12.
So a day,
Quick 12
bottle of
hours.
Hennessy.
Right.
Okay.
All
Yeah,
right.
that makes
so
it
it was
better.
one of those. It was one of those. So I come home and I go to sleep, right? And then I wake up in my daughter's crib.
Oh my God.
And I have
She wasn't
No,
home,
she wasn't in it.
Oh my God. It's
She wasn't in
terrifying.
it. But I just have no idea. And I don't think it was because I was too drunk, because by the time I got home, I had drank like, I don't know, 6 bottles of water. I stopped drinking like 4 hours prior.
Dude,
seriously.
that stat line right there, a bottle of Hennessy and 6 bottles of water. That 6 bottles of water is just throwing like grapes in the ocean. Like,
So good.
6 bottles of water are going to do
why,
shit.
Why are we talking about this? Honestly, what we should be doing is a positive review on this crib.
What?
Yeah, if it
You
held
were
your
laying
opinion.
on
Well, right. So it's the
Good
crib.
point.
Please shout
Is
them
that our
out.
new sponsor?
Yeah,
Is
we're
this
trying to get a new
competition?
sponsor here.
And you have the same crib. So it's the crib
Grown
that,
ass man, 200
yes,
plus.
from Pottery Barn that we
Yeah.
changed
Shout out PB.
from a crib
Jeez.
into now like a little bed.
Worth the money.
It's a heads
that
up place.
Callie
CB.
gets no sleep in because she just sleeps in my bed anyway, so
Yep.
it doesn't even matter. But now it's to stage 2 or whatever. There's different stages of these cribs. So there's no like bar there. There's like a little protector thing.
Yeah, it's
right?
like a day bed. Type
Exactly. It's
thing.
kind of like a day bed. Very good. But when very good. But when I woke up, my legs were like completely over because it's still short. It's a very short day bed. right?
You have a knack lately of sleeping in things that you're not built for. You realize that, right? You're not supposed to be in tanning bed. You're not supposed to be in cribs.
Right. So like, but I literally, the first thing I thought about, I was like,
Was me?
this is how Mike must feel because,
It's
when
weird,
you have a
isn't it?
night terror and then you wake up. So I woke up there, I'm looking around like, what the hell is going on here? And I just like
confused were
casually
you?
walked back into my room like it never happened.
Yeah. How confused? Were you like
I was so confused.
so confused? And
really was.
the first thing you think is like, am I dreaming? And then you're like, this is my house. Then you're like,
And I know I went to bed
Yeah.
in the bed.
It's creepy. So I have a theory. You ready to hear this?
Yeah.
So as you know, love aliens, right? Like part of me thinks I'm an alien. So I had a theory. I saw this movie, The Fourth Kind, which I think I mentioned on here. It's pretty
never seen
creepy. But long story short, people have like night terrors, but it's because there's an owl that comes to their window and starts to like get in their mind.
Oh, wow.
So the owl is actually an alien because it's got big eyes. So people mistake it for an owl. So when they did these interviews with people, they would put them into hypnosis so they'd relive that experience, and everyone would be screaming, "The owl's back," or whatever about the owl.
Oh, boy.
So long story short, I'm like, maybe I was getting abducted when I was younger and
By the
then just
owl?
returned by aliens, right?
Wow.
So when you think about it, it kind of aligns because like when people came to check on me, I'd just be sitting straight up, like either screaming or not saying anything. And I wouldn't remember anything in the morning. It's kind of scary. Isn't
CV
it?
doesn't like this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that is. So you think I got abducted by an alien?
so you
then?
but you know what happened, right? They
What?
started to abduct you and they're like, we can't fit his big ass in the ship. And they just dropped you back into the
They
crib.
just dropped me back there.
You've just been getting rejected by technology all weekend.
Oh, dude, it was very bizarre. But,
But that's what our boy,
Just an odd feeling.
brother-in-law Chris Salvo wakes up in weird spots. He slept in a closet one weekend.
yes, he did. Shout out Montreal, Canada.
Yeah.
Right? That's where we were, Montreal.
I think that's where we were.
Is that where we said we were?
I don't know if I ever told the story on the podcast, but
no, we're not going to talk about your bachelor party on the podcast.
No.
Okay.
We went out one night. I think it was my stag. Obviously, we were there, and we all went back to my parents' house because I don't know why the hell we went back to my parents' house because we had our house at the time, maybe like as a post thing. And Chris ended up sleeping, on the show couch. And my parents
I remember this.
It's tiny, yeah. So he slept like face down. I have a picture somewhere because I took it. He perfectly his torso.
And you're talking about a 6'4" body.
6'4", big dude.
Yeah,
he's a little thicker now. Like Chris, get on it. So, and he fit his torso to his knee, fit perfectly, and then his head and feet were like up in the air. It was so uncomfortable looking, but he slept there all night.
Oh wow.
And my dad and mom to this day are like, I still don't understand how you fit on that couch. But that's you. You and him are going to have a competition.
So, I mean, listen. The good news is I'm very, very limber these days. You saw that?
Touching your toes?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I don't know if you've been following the Instagram of No Snooze Podcast. Go follow. If you haven't, subscribe. My squats, it's not heavy because I'm all hyped, right? And I'm like, Dana, have you seen my squats? And she's like, yeah. Is that a lot of weight? And I'm like, well, no. But for me, it is. Because I'll go into someone else's and they're squatting I'm not saying women versus men. But like this 5'2" woman is squatting like 400 pounds. Yeah, so me, I'm like, I'm not even going to post this today. But I'm like, I got to show people I'm making progress,
I'm doing something. A little
I felt good about myself, but
and then, man, you look good.
And then I do bench and I go over to you and it's like, oh, I'm flying high, 255 cold, not even in warm environment with a spotter, you add like 150 pounds probably. And then I go on his Instagram the next day, which I know he does it on purpose. He throws up him benching, and it's like 400 pounds. What was the most recent bench? Not to gas you up again.
Well, I benched today, but I didn't go over 315.
Oh,
I was doing 315. No, I was doing reps.
Make sure I punch you in the face
big
when
repetition.
you say it that way.
No, I'm not, Mike. But
this is not new. I'm gonna pop a peck to get to 315.
I'm gonna pop a peck.
He's like, I don't go above
this is
315.
This is not new for me though. But
I know.
But I think the big one you were talking about was like 385, maybe.
Oh, the big one. That was
the big one because it was 365. 25.
CV, back me up here. I think Level Fitness has those fugazi weights. I
Full
think
weights?
they ask people to come in so they feel better. So I'm gonna have to do a bench at Level to see where I'm really at.
Okay.
With the fake weights.
All right. We could do that. We could.
You think they'll have me there? You think all right? Here's a good question. Obviously, when you walk in, no, like everyone knows you, right? Like it's like when we're at the wedding. If I walked in, does anyone say to me, "Hey, does anyone recognize me from anything?"
100%.
No, I don't
100%.
know. That's a tough.
They probably go up to you and say, "Hey, I found these headphones. Do you want them?"
Dude, can you imagine?
100%.
It'd be funny. I should do it and
And you'll
just
see the
record it. I'll
logos
just sit
everywhere.
there. But I'd be the one like walking up to people like, "Hey, what's up?" Like,
They'll be
"Hey,
like,
what's going on?"
What's going on, weirdo?
Yeah. You know my friend Dave? Yeah, good dude. He just podcasts, but oh yeah. And they just wait.
Oh man. So I had some family time this weekend. It was good time. Danielle's birthday.
Happy birthday, Danielle.
Yes. Shout out baby sis. Man, it's incredible. But so I went to her apartment. I think for like that was
It
probably
looks
the
nice.
Oh,
Is that Harbor Point?
not Harbor
Not
Point.
to shout out her area.
Right
but-
across from the MMA gym in Stanford.
Oh yeah, it's downtown.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah,
beautiful.
that's,
I mean, beautiful place.
Summer. That's where I used to live.
Yes.
Yeah, Summer Street.
Yeah.
Well, let me phrase that. Danielle's balling out a little more. I lived in the brick building with no heat or no AC.
Yeah, she's got this beautiful one bedroom, man, and she's got this,
Summer Street?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I already
So we
said
had
that,
some
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Sorry.
good-
Sorry, Danielle. No,
good-
there's a lot of condos.
There's
over
security there too.
There's
I
tons
mean,
of security.
and her
And
brother.
Dave's her
Yeah,
brother,
I literally
so
sit there.
go
and
press
just
him.
watch.
And he says the MMA gym's across the street because he's practicing.
That's right, because I'm just watching. But then I do need some prayers here, man. My my uncle. I'll leave some details out, but basically went from a very very healthy man to just finding out that he has stage 4 non-specific cancer. So prayers, please, to the entire family. We could definitely use them during this time. But again, I mean, it's a perspective just jolt, right?
Yeah.
Like life really just hits you, where you least expect it. And he's the most positive, energetic guy. Always just looking out for everybody else in the family. So to be going through this is extremely tough.
Yeah.
But it is during a tough holiday time as well.
Yeah.
So just cherish those that you're obviously close to, because you never ever know what the news can be tomorrow.
For sure. We well said, and we have some stuff similar going on, but like I won't get specific, obviously, to respect everyone. But in addition, I've have some clients that are now friends that went through something traumatic and lost someone, and now we're getting into the holiday season. You start thinking about things more. Like even for my parents, or my mom specifically, when she lost her parents, like my grandparents, during the holidays, everything's just more because you're with everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look over and it's like that spot where they used to hang out, or like when they would crack the joke and give you shit, it doesn't happen, and then you like miss it. It makes everything a lot harder.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to this past 4 months with the baby, and I've vented on here, has been the most challenging mentally for me, Dana, the family, just in general. And it's hard to stay grounded, but the holidays are a great time to get reset because you're forced to think about stuff and appreciate like the moments.
Right.
Whereas like the day to day, if we were in a different time of year, like after the new year, that's a tough time because there's not much going on and you're just like in your own shit,
Yeah.
So it's been, I think the timing of everything happens when it's supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
And for us, it's been like a double-edged sword where it's the most challenging, but the most time that we've been able to like soak things up too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you feel that.
Absolutely.
The swing of emotions is like more extreme during the holidays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, well said. I mean, this episode is basically going to drop the final Monday in December. So, hopefully everybody had a good Christmas. But we basically pulled 5 questions that will literally transition, as a good transition, into the pod. You always do this, my brother. You always transition us. Very nice.
Question is...
I just took... actually, before we do that...
Wait, before we do all of that, I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
I thought
Is
he had
one
an
of the
update.
questions relinquish or relinquish?
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Comment on it?
My microphone's not working.
Microphone's not
My
working.
headphones are out.
Wait, so I actually pulled, before we go there, I have some stats from Spotify, which is cool, right? The 2022 wrap up for podcasters, which is basically only one platform for us.
And you know how people post like what they listen to in their tops?
Yeah.
I saw a lot of Drake. I saw a lot of like, pop. Where were we?
Those are artists.
Oh, okay. We're in different categories.
Yeah, we're different category.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just double checking.
We're with the Joe Rogans, the Ed Milet's,
Okay,
the No
okay.
Snooze podcast. You know what I'm saying?
Cool.
We're right up there.
That's what I thought.
But anyway, 2022 was a very successful year, even on the audio platforms. This is not including Instagram, which happens to be a
Insty.
What?
Insty.
Insty has always been king for us, but I think that's just because they like looking at our face.
Daddy got a 6-pack this year. I think that's really boosted the numbers.
We had 157% increase in followers on the audio platforms, which is very dope.
Okay.
157%. 112% increase in listeners.
Okay.
Right? Because on these platforms, you can actually follow our podcast page, not on Instagram, on the platforms.
Okay.
Right? And then you listen. So we've had 157% in the followers, 112% in the listeners, and then we recorded 1,900 minutes, which basically equates to, I think, 31 hours or something like that of actual content that we put out.
We've been talking a lot of shit.
I know, that's exactly what what this basically says is we talked a lot of shit this year.
I don't want to jinx us, but it's amazing we haven't gotten into more trouble. Right? Because we
Yes.
talk a lot of shit.
Yes. But no, I mean, that's it's very cool to look back on those little statistics, and, thank you to everybody who, followed, listened, helped us out here.
Shout out for the support.
Right.
And it's fun to look back and just think about like where we started. I know this isn't the episode reflection, but where we started to where we are today and how much everyone's grown and all the shit that's happened in our life and like where we are now.
Yep.
It's very, you don't do it a lot, but it's fun to kind of do one of like, oh, this is pretty cool.
Right.
Exactly. And again, you do week after week and you're in the middle and it's in the middle of the week and recording and you don't really sit and like think about it. But when you think about it, it's pretty cool.
And when you look back, you're like, oh, wow, this is
the fact that people yell at you like, no, is hilarious to me. And then, I mean, here we go. I was shown a property, and I always ask, I'm like, how'd you find me? And this kid, Andre Savilis, went to school with you.
Went to school with me.
Yep. And
Manhattanville. Yes.
Wow.
Mville.
So you just had a little moment there.
Mville. I'm the one thinking. I don't like being offensive to people.
His brother's Alex. I don't know if you know the brother.
No.
But
Soccer
he knows
player.
Brian. Yeah, he played soccer. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But he's a good dude. And I was showing him some property. I'm like, how'd you find out? And he's like, oh, No Snooze Podcast. I'm like, really? Interesting. He's a good dude. So
That's
it's
cool.
funny.
Very cool.
I guess we're getting our incentive soon, huh?
What incentives?
Yeah.
Our incentive.
Yeah.
Dude, legally.
We need that full hundo to come back our way.
Right? No, so what I did was I basically went in, and I always have conversations with individuals when they write in, but the past like 30 days or so, there was a couple of questions that came in that I think tie into also the end of the year, but give us good perspective. So CV will read them out. But what do you got?
When Dave, we have a group chat and we text like what the topic's gonna be, and
Yep.
Dave goes, "It's gonna be questions." So I just want to say before we get into it, and I said it via text, I'm not on the juice. I know a lot of you people think I am. Me and the Liver King, very similar looking, and as of now, I am not juiced up.
That was very
But
funny.
I'm considering it.
I'm Red Bulling though.
Is
I'm
this
not
considered
juicing.
juice?
I'm not juicing. I'm Red Bulling. But yeah, that was funny with the Liver King, huh? Side note. He's dumb.
First off,
He's dumb.
in what world does that a natural body?
He's dumb.
Right?
Exactly. And nobody would have taken anything away from him
If he said he was juicing.
if he said he was juicing, because his physique is still incredible.
Is it me, or it seems like it's way more like it's less demonized now in today's?
It
'cause
is.
like Chris Bums, like all the bodybuilders obviously do it.
Yeah, of course.
But back then it was like a hush hush secret thing.
Right,
Now it's
correct.
out in the open. They're like, yeah, I'm doing a cycle. And
Yes, but also I think for Liver King, he was trying to preach these ancestral tenets, which he definitely lives by, but they're supplemented by steroids. And I don't know how safe it is to be,
He's like-
crushing raw liver and eating raw eggs.
Yeah, and I know you were trying to get a tan to look like him, but his body tone, what do you call that? Complexion does not look healthy.
Well,
looks
he
like he's
doesn't wear a
fucking-
shirt
He
ever.
looks like he's gonna die.
He doesn't
right?
wear
Doesn't
a shirt.
he look
yeah.
like there's a
He does.
guy?
Looks like he could be borderline heart attack.
Yes.
Right?
If you look at someone, I'm like, they're jacked, but they look like they're gonna die tomorrow.
Yes.
That's not a body I want.
Right.
You know?
You want this. I was just listen, we were upstairs, I was having bananas and apples for breakfast, showing
Bananas
everybody.
and apples. He came in, he housed the muffin 2 bites. I was counting.
It was a banana muffin, bro.
Banana muffin. And then there was some decadent brownies. First off, who made those?
That's my nickname, Decadent
Did Kat
Dave.
make those? Kat.
Shout out to
Pretty
brownies.
impressive. Those are
They
good looking
were.
brownies.
They were. I want my own little platter, Catherine.
Yeah, you put down
I could
brownies.
body some brownies.
Thank God you're somewhat disciplined as far as working out, because your diet, giving it to you today.
Oh man.
Pee-wee.
All right, so I think we can get started.
sorry,
CV, hit us.
But again, I'm not on steroids. So
Yeah, my
please
shirt's
don't
a
ask.
double X, by the way. Ask about me and shout out. These are the best. Listen, if this company wants to sponsor me, True
What-
Classic. I'm telling you, True Classic
seen the-
is by far the most comfortable tee that I've worn. Fits this awkward body of mine very, very
I
nicely.
wouldn't say it's awkward.
Well, this
Your
is a
arms are
double X,
perfect.
and it's still. Listen, CV told me
You don't even know what movie
small
that's from.
arms, but this
You
is a double X,
You don't
and
even
it
know what
still
movie that's
hugs me
from.
nice.
You don't even know what movie that's from.
You know?
I'm a wasted talent on this podcast because he doesn't watch movies. We need someone to sit in for him so I could do the joke and
just-
say, do you don't even know what movie that's from?
No.
Big Daddy, one
I've
of the
seen
best
Big
movies
Daddy.
of all time. In the beginning, he's like, my arms are scrawny. And the guy's like, your arms are perfect. It's one of my
I
favorite.
thought you were being serious.
Wait, I have a short anecdote about
Okay.
Dave. He doesn't even know I'm about to say this.
Who, me?
Yes, I'm gonna keep names out and everything.
Oh,
but
Jesus.
the
We're in
other,
trouble.
no, something like that. It's hilarious though, and I meant to ask him after, and I completely forgot. Someone put him on the spot. We were having a little chat at some point, Dave and I, and we got interrupted by somebody that came in, and they were hanging out with us, chatting it up, and at some point, this person made a reference to Elf, the movie.
Yep.
And it was just kind of in fun. It kind of went around, and we were just talking about. Do you remember this conversation? And in my head, all I wanted to laugh, but I didn't want to laugh in that moment because it was just a conversation. But I'm like, I wonder if this mofo even knows the reference of the movie.
Probably do.
So my question to you now is: did you know that was a movie?
So I actually watched Elf. I've watched Elf before, so I knew what she was alluding to. It was the female, right?
Yes.
So I knew what she was alluding to, and it happens to be. I don't remember the specifics of it, but I remember laughing the entire one. Isn't that Jim Carrey?
No.
Oh,
Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell. That's what I meant. Damn it!
You're so.
I liar is Jim Carrey. Yes, talk
it
to
took
me.
everything for me to ask you in that
And this
moment.
was like a high-level politician.
Yeah.
If I'm,
I
yes.
didn't want to say all that.
That's even funny.
But I was like,
he was probably dying inside.
I
He was.
wanted to say, Dave, do you know who that is? Do
I
you know
put
what
him
that
on a
is?
spot too because it was that's who you're talking about, right?
Yes.
The politician. Okay, so I put him on a spot because he kept looking at his phone, and I'm like, yeah, he's watching the World Cup.
Yeah, he did me dirty. He
not
did me
listening
so
to you.
dirty.
He's watching the World Cup. Yes, but no, I did know the reference Elf. I believe he wears a green suit in that movie.
Green,
Right?
yellow.
Another. So there's been movies lately where I'm trying to lock in. I love locking in on good comedy and listening to the dialogue. There's a lot of parts in that movie that are very funny that I never appreciated.
Elf.
Yeah.
I got to go back and watch
Bye, buddy. And it's just like the lost toys.
I gotta
And
go.
he's
That's
just like,
those are the kind of movies you have to watch like
Multiple
3, 4,
times.
5, and every time you watch it, you'll pick up on because it's so funny in the moment. You laugh first time, you laugh at the fun thing, at the very biggest thing.
yes.
And then the more you watch
nuance.
it, then you start picking up on the little.
But imagine being 33 years old and watching these classics for the very first time.
It's got to be
It's
great.
liberating.
Is it great?
Let me
I wish
tell
I
you.
could relive it.
It is
have you seen
incredible.
Home Alone?
Yes.
Dude.
My favorite part is when he's like, on the. I thought it was a pull-up bar, but it's the fire escape. And it slips.
Yeah.
and
With
he busts his
the
ass.
hair
That's
gel.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm that guy, bro. I am that guy.
I take it back. You're doing a good
you
job.
know what I'm saying?
But I'm such a fan of slapstick comedy. Like I like the extremes. I like either you have to be super dumb to watch it, like slapstick, you fall and it's giggly, like you get kicked in the nuts.
Right.
Some of my favorite laughs. Or like the very subtle comments that are like, if you're not listening, you're not going to get it. I like
Right.
the two extremes.
Okay.
That's the ones that you catch like the second and the third time you watch a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what my problem is with movie watching?
What,
Is that a thing?
Let's get into it. Yeah.
Movie watching is I find myself thinking about other things while I'm watching the movie. And I don't know how to just stay on.
You know what's
topic.
funny? That happens to me with music.
See,
So
my
like
brain just
Catherine and
keeps
I
going.
are like super like
This heater's nice.
different, right? So like when I watch a movie, I get so like sucked into the movie that it's like almost I'm in the movie.
You're trying to catch
I
references.
hear
and
music
stuff.
and I'm completely thinking about everything else. And the melodies in the background, I am the worst with lyrics. I
Me
never
too, me
remember
too.
them. Catherine can hear the first tune of a song and she knows what song, she knows the lyrics. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
But in a movie, she falls asleep like immediately.
That's me.
Medium science coming in at you. So apparently, when you listen to music that you've heard before, your brain jumps to different topics because you just fill in the, like you're an efficiency machine. So you just fill in the rest. So you tune it out. So if you ever listen to like a new album, you're so much more locked into the music because it's all new. So your brain doesn't know what's next. Whereas if you listen to a song you've heard before, your brain knows what's next and you tune out. So in the beginning, you're locked and then you just fade off. It's interesting.
I like that.
You're not good. Drake, your boy.
It's good.
New album.
The small signs.
You listen to, you're probably so, and then now you throw on like whatever your song is, you maybe make it 10 seconds, then you think of other shit.
Yes. Absolutely. And then even with podcasts, it's the same thing in terms of the science. When you listen to something, it and you're listening to personal development stuff, it actually sparks the creative thought in your head on something else that's completely different.
Yes.
But
Yeah,
same
yeah.
type
It
of-
brings
same
you
type
to
of
like another. So anyway, but that's funny. I'm the type though that can watch a movie and turn it off before it ends. Like
wow.
Dana can't. Dana stays up till the end.
Brand new movie or
Anything.
Oh, really?
I just don't care. Like,
So I'm the reverse. I can
If
pick up
it's
a
a
movie at
bad
any point in the
movie-
movie and watch it till the end and not know how it began, but I'm tuned in from like halfway through.
see, I could do that,
Yeah.
but I'm saying like she needs to figure out who did it, why that happened, what's the ending. Where I could be like, I like the movie, but I'm too tired. I'm done. Or it's a terrible movie. I don't care what happens. Right? If it's the worst movie in the world, she
like
will
that, too.
watch it till
Yeah.
2 a.m. So she yells at me when I put movies on. She's like, "Nah, I got to see the end."
Yeah, I'm like
That's
that
funny.
too.
But anyway,
Good movie section.
yeah,
I told you.
that might
You
be a
know
little
what I'm saying?
saggy,
Right?
We wanted to take a quick second to let you guys know that we partnered with our good friends over at Orgain.com. We're happy to offer our listeners 30% off by entering the code NoSnooze30. Again, that's NoSnooze30 for 30% off your first order. If you're on the market for a new protein powder, nutritional shake, protein bar, or Mike's favorite, collagen peptides, Orgain is your one-stop shop. As all of you know, my Crohn's disease is currently in remission, and the only protein I use is from Orgain. My personal favorites are the chocolate peanut butter and the vanilla bean. With the code, you can try a 2-pound tub for under $20. Talk about not snoozing. Go get yours today. Now, back to the epi.
CV, the big
All right,
question.
the
Talk
big
to
question. Let's get the camera right.
Any updates, Stevie, over there? You're looking good. Daddy likey.
No, struggling.
All right, new year, new me. Let's do it.
Struggling. All right. Get my mic right. So, question number 1. To date, what's the hardest part about parenting, and how do you overcome it in the moment?
Kids, caffeine.
To date.
To date.
Hardest part are the kids.
That means till today.
Yeah, of course. So the first one I think this is kind of like a funny one, and then I'll give a serious one, I guess. But the funny one right now is I really struggle to answer all of Callie's. She's in the why phase, so everything is why.
Yeah.
So like I'm breaking things down at the best that I can, but I'll say something about I want to drink water. Like why?
yeah.
I'm thirsty. Why are you thirsty? Because I haven't had water yet. I'm going to put it in a cup. Why? So it doesn't spill on the floor. Why? And I really struggle, but I want to try to articulate
So she
something
learns.
that she can understand.
Yeah.
But the why phase right now, it just kind of came out of nowhere too, and it doesn't stop. So that's the.
Do you go to
think
like
the
the big
funny-
signs on certain questions?
No, I mean I try to keep it
It's
as.
very
but
dope.
I'm
He's like, well, there's
serious.
5
I try to-
steps.
You could be inspiring her thought process.
Yeah, I mean I try to, but instead of me sometimes I just want to be like what. Because I want to.
because I said so.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Because I'm the man. But I really try to
Because I bench 385.
try to think of something that I can, explain to her.
100%.
So that's definitely difficult. But then I think the real answer, which I'm sure is
Say
a
it, Dave.
parenting,
Say it. Give it
a
to me.
parenting thing in general, is the lack of sleep, and then really figuring out how to be disciplined in the moment of chaos. Because it's very easy to just kind of, flip out, but you still have to try to understand, listen,
Guilty.
this is a child, and this is an experience for her. And sometimes I posted something on Instagram and it said sometimes hearing just keep a positive mindset doesn't work. Right? What we need to hear is this really sucks right now, but you know what? You're a badass. You can get through this, and this moment will make you better. So I try to shift that perspective. So I guess it's those two things, though. It's the discipline in the moment of chaos, and then the lack of sleep, which sucks.
Yeah. Lack of sleep's probably the biggest.
Yeah.
Have you thought about hitting her with the reverse psychology? So when she does something
When you
wrong,
said hitting her.
Yeah, right. I was
hitting her with the right.
I have thought
reverse
about hitting her
psychology.
in a couple moments.
Tough choice of words.
We'll cut that part out.
I said it the other day. I said I'm a spanker. They were like, no, your big hand's gonna kill her.
When she does
I'm
something that's
listen,
not right, why? And you hit her with the same why. And when she
No,
answers, why?
I haven't.
Why?
I haven't. I got to do that.
Yeah,
She would quit. She
we're
was like,
going
I'm
through
done.
right now. The hardest part is Livy doesn't want me to hang with her to go to bed, or when she wakes up screaming to come down and sleep with her, she wants mom. So I'm trying to alleviate some pressure, but
It's
she
a
won't
terrible
let
feeling,
me.
right?
I want to snap on her every night. I'm like, you're just a little.
You came right out of my testicles, little girl.
Well, why?
Why?
So yeah, the overall the bandwidth it takes is just challenging. And now both had fevers all weekend. So the lack of sleep was escalated even more. And when you don't get sleep, you're more emotional, which then turns into more like arguments and all that good stuff. But it's we're in the trenches. That's what it is. Parenting's, a lot of lack of sleep. And I would say that's the hardest part, or now negotiating with Livy, but she doesn't hold up to her side of the bargain. Right? So you're like, listen, I'll give you a lollipop if you sit down and eat this hot dogs. Yeah.
Yeah, lollipop.
And you was like an idiot. I'm like, yeah, she's definitely, it's a 2-year-old. Of course she's going to hold her word. She's a woman of her word.
So here's a lollipop.
Hammers a lot. Yeah, I'm an idiot. Hammers a lollipop, does whatever the fuck she wants. Pardon my French.
That's good. That's very good.
Awesome. Question number 2. How do you go about structuring your goals for the new year?
This is a very, very good question. I think you have to, the first step, right, on the big process. So the first step is really
how many steps are we getting into?
Assessing and evaluating, I guess,
128.
really where you were, right, for the year prior, and figuring out where the gaps for growth really are. For example, like I have a business one. I was just in conversation with somebody. So right now we're basically at a point to where we're at full capacity in one of our town facilities, and there's really not much leeway. So technically we can be like, listen, we're at full capacity. We really can't do much else. But what we have to do is really look at the program, services, and activities that are not, thriving up to the I guess, maximum space and potential, and reinsert them with things that we can then expand, right? So we have 2 opportunities for growth. One being to meet the needs of after, what do we call them, CV? Like young adults, I guess, the young adults that are out of college. We don't really have too many programs for them.
Post-secondary?
Yes, like post-secondary, right. So we struggle for programming there. So that's an opportunity for growth. And then also we don't really have programs and services for our daughter's age in terms of educational programs.
Get that going, okay?
Right?
Because dump them.
So now when you find those 2 opportunities, it's like, okay, now which one makes the most sense? Which one's easier to recruit? Is it going directly after the, that group of young adults, or is it being able to still go get the parents who are automatically going to bring the kids?
Yeah.
Right. And it kind of leans that way.
Yeah.
But I think you have to, step 1 is evaluating and assessing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Done.
Ditto.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I'm just where I'm at currently. I'll start with the professional stuff. Like I talked about in other podcasts. Now I'm basically starting from scratch again. I got really high, heady level, want to take over the market, do all this cool stuff. I have a food show, clothing company that's more of a brand play. All this stuff's great. But the new year is about making money as far as surviving, right? Because if you don't generate income and sell properties, you're out of business. Right. So I looked at my previous years. I'm like, I did great. Everything was good. I had a lot of success. I think my marketing is top notch. I think my client management is top notch. I just need more at bats. So then it narrows down all right, if you need more at bats, then what do you got to do? You got to send mailers. You got to make cold calls. You got to see properties. So the goal of this upcoming year, I like to do something that's not volume based as far as a dollar amount, right, but more of a achievement base, which will keep me on track as far as, if I achieve it, the volume is going to take care of itself, right?
Right.
So what I thought was, all right, where have I had success in the past? Do I have an advantage in that arena? And can I scale that and do that in the new year to an effective amount to potentially be the number 1 agent in town for this thing? So after looking at everything, I realized I sell a lot of multifamily properties. And when you have a lot of multifamily properties, you have a lot of investors who tend to buy more and need more service, and then which translates to more rentals and tenants, which then potentially translates to buyers. So I was like, all right, well, this all sounds like I can scale. So let's go after to be the number 1 multifamily salesperson in Greenwich, because that's a place where I can compete, and a lot of the big wigs don't focus on that, right? So the new year, the goal is to focus on being that, and then the secondary goal is to do condos.
Right.
Primary, I try to do a primary and a secondary, and if I'm not doing things day to day to add to the primary, then I need to reevaluate what I'm doing. So I try to be very simple, keep it simple. If it was easy, how would it look? And all this other stuff I'm seeing as in addition to, but if I don't do this one thing, what if I don't do is going to put me out of business is how I thought about it. And that was, if you're selling properties, you're making money, you're scaling up, you can do all this other stuff. It's easier because you have more money to allocate. When you're not doing that, all this other stuff suffers. So start with like the most crucial stuff and focus on that. That's how I'm looking at it.
Yeah, very nice.
Which has been hard.
Yeah.
Because I have this, I'm brand, and you know how it is. Like you get so fancy with your workouts for me, where you're like, well, I got to do squats because why am I doing these weird hip things if I can't even do a squat, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I'm thinking about it, and that's why I'm doing squats.
And I guess the final piece is, as you were saying that, what I started to think about in terms of a structure is looking at your problems. Right?
Yeah.
Like identifying the problems that
I got no money.
Identifying the problems that you have, in your life, and then working to basically fix that actual problem.
Yeah. And then on the personal side, I've said it a million times in the podcast, but it's like organization has been my crux. And it's not like just being organized, but it's over organized that alleviates some stress and anxiety.
Right.
And it's hard with kids, as you know, because you have these, I'm going to lay the clothes out, I'm going to get the bottle ready, and then they fucking throw up on everything. And then you're like, I don't have a backup.
And you slam the milk, you tell them to go F themselves, and then that's it.
But to a certain extent, you could prepare for some stuff, and it's been very difficult to do that. So like a big goal of mine is to, and again, it's not like, I know we want to do SMART goals and make them measurable and all that stuff. You see how I'm answering myself? But for me, I like themes. So like, I think last year the theme was scale, where this year the theme is organization. Because like I don't have a problem scaling, I have a problem with organization. I know how to scale.
Our next episode too.
What organization?
No, just in terms of our like
goals
focus words for 23 and
because we did it last. What was yours? I don't remember.
I can't tell you now.
Well, last year you don't remember?
No, I don't.
All right, well maybe it should be the memory.
Maybe it should be a memory. CV number. What is that? Number 3?
Yep. Number
Talk to me.
3. Oh, this is a long one. Hope you guys are ready.
We do look pale. Is there a filter on this?
I know, and I went tanning, and my ass is red.
Hey.
Jesus Christ.
Hey.
This is the most swears we've had in any episode, and I think it's our best one yet.
Sorry. Okay. Do you ever have downtime? My issue has always been I go 1,000 miles per hour. It's pretty fast. Until I burn out, and then I'm useless for a period of time until I feel normal again. Do you have any hacks to avoid this?
Yeah, you kind of answered your own question. You said that your problem is you go 1,000 miles an hour. Slow down. No. But
imagine if we answer questions like that, we just cruise through like 100.
Right? So I can't really relate to the 1,000 miles per hour. My brain works 1,000 miles per hour, but like I'm very conscious of not moving that fast. I slow things down. I try to like tackle one thing at a time and move to the next. So I think you need to change your approach to how you're moving through the task, because if you're saying, I could be wrong, but you're saying 1,000 miles per hour, like I don't really know how efficient you can be. And if I'm just going to rush through something, I'm going to end up burning out too. And if you're stacking those types of days on top of each other, I feel like you need to build up your mental stamina. And the way that I kind of refer to this as mental minutes. I log these mental minutes in my head that keep me disciplined. And it's the basic things, though. It's the small habits that I do every day. But lately, the mental minutes that kind of ground me is this freaking sauna in the shower. And what that allows me to do is like, slow down everything, right? Because when you're feeling that cold water and you're getting these mental minutes in, it really recenters me and it focuses, my intention on what it is that I have to kind of do for the day. So I think you just need to change your approach to everything and start like coming up with your own type of mental minutes that you can like do all the time, right? Yeah. Even if I have a day off, I get these mental minutes in. Yeah.
No, that's well said. And I think burnout's caused by a lack of that, in addition to work on something you really don't believe in. Because at least for me, when I work on something and like even real estate and I want to quit, I don't, because I really do enjoy it. And I really think I'm, doing something that is going to grow into something bigger. So, excuse me, I'm fighting a cold here. So for me, it's been the workouts. Like that's been my grounding time, where if I'm stressed, like as long as I get my workout in the morning, I can kind of think through things and be less stressed because I have a game plan going forward. And it's not so much the game plan, but more of the process of, or the act of thinking through things. even if I don't come to a solution, I think through it and I really flesh out like, all right, worst case scenario is this, best is this, what can I do today? Like, it's not really deliberate. It's more of like your brain starts moving and shakes off some dust, because if you're constantly under tension and there's no recovery, you can't make any progress in building muscle.
Right.
Same thing with like
absolutely.
business.
But that's a great point in fitness. But your recovery doesn't mean that you don't have to do anything.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. Like your recovery could be active stretching, walking.
Yeah.
So when you go, I think that's a big problem. We always talk about it, but people go 1,000 miles an hour, and then you eventually like burn yourself out and you stop.
Yeah.
Right.
Which can't do.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
You just can't do that. And that's why I think you do have to find a way to like slow down that 1,000. Bring it to like 250.
So this is very
rock out
timely.
at 250.
So like you have to be self-aware of when you're getting to the point. And usually for me, it's like when I'm getting overwhelmed and I'm on edge and I'm just not thinking clearly. Like when that is all happening, then I'm like, I need to do something just to reset. Yes, sacrificing that time versus working, it's going to hurt, but you can't think clearly anyway. So it's like, you're not going to be efficient anyway. So do this other thing, walk away, come back to it. And that's something Dana and I have talked about, because like with 2, it's been very hard to find that time. And even when you have that time, I like to get like an hour if possible, maybe get 30, but at least it's something. It's not nothing. So we're really trying now to have that conversation, and that could be with business. If you have a person you work with, like we need to do something as a team or whatever to kind of like recalibrate and just relax, like whether it's have a cigar with the, at the shop or whatever your thing is. I think you need to find your thing that you don't need anyone else to do with you. That's like your time, whatever that is.
Right. Love it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's a donut and a coffee.
Banana muffin.
They looked good.
I'm gonna have another
Followed by the brownie.
Hey, yo.
Hey.
On the back end. A bruffin.
The back end.
You guys are bad.
The big back end.
The big back end. You guys are bad. Give me a brownie.
The bruffin.
No.
That's actually pretty good. A brownie muffin, a bruffin.
Ooh,
You look like a bruffin.
I do with my all black now.
We always, question number 4. We always hear about stacking the good habits, but what are some bad habits you want to avoid in 2023, if you don't mind sharing?
Oh,
Do we have time?
Let's just be vulnerable.
No, but I mean, I got a million.
I'm really good. I don't really have any bad habits. I'm gonna pass this off to Mike. No.
Habitos?
No. I'll start. So my bad habits.
Tanning.
I think I use my phone too much. Like I use social media as a really good tool, like for business and stuff like that. And that does take up time, but I still think I'm on my phone too often. And I'm not joking, but there are times that like even my finger, my pinky, like I can feel it. Like, and I don't know if it's like I'm predisposed to like carpal tunnel or like arthritic things that are going on. So that's definitely a bad habit of mine. I think that I'm still a little too reactive to certain situations where I know that, but the difference now is that I know that I'm wrong right away. Whereas before I was just extremely reactive and like didn't even give 2 Fs about what I was reacting to. So that's a good feeling, even though it's a bad habit. I do think that I'm still a little bit, I don't know a proper term for this, but bingy. I'm like too bingy on things.
Me too.
Like I've shared before, I like, I get obsessed with things, so like even if it's a good obsession, being obsessed with everything is not always a good thing.
Yeah.
And that happens when I'm having a good time with the boys. We spoke about that, right? Like I enjoy those types of things. So I think my personality at time could be a little addictive, which I kind of view as a bad habit for sure. And then what else? How many is that? I
Don't look at me.
How many?
I'm not telling you
How
what
many
your
do
bad
we?
habits are.
And then the one that I spoke about, I guess, was spending too much time on like, thinking about what other people are thinking. I've shared that before.
Yeah.
That's definitely a bad habit. So that's like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good list.
Good. 3's good. 3,
3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah.
3. No, I think the
Other
binging.
than that, I'm pretty good.
Yeah, the binging, I definitely, it resonates with me. I agree. Mine
big
comes in the
binge.
form typically of like food. Booze, it used to be a little more booze, but I just don't have the opportunity anymore. Like I feel myself trying, but I'm like, I get pulled away with the kid. I
Yeah.
can't. Like, you have no time. So it's more about like the food now and then just like, I don't know. It's just calibrated. Like if saying no, I'm getting much better at. I've been given opportunities to do things I actually really want to do, but I just realistically don't have the energy to do it because my priority is elsewhere in building a company so that I can do those things in the future, right? Like saying no in the short term for me has been really hard because I know I can do it, but I know if I take it on, it's going to take away from this thing that I should be focusing on. So that's something I still struggle with, but I'm getting better. So that's like focus, I guess, would be there. I have a bad habit as far as like just going cold turkey on stuff. Like I just fall out of, like running. Like I walk now when I work out because I just don't have the time. So I just don't run. Like rather than run a little bit, I'm just like, I'll pick it up later.
You went from Forrest Gump to Forrest Dump.
I jogged a little bit and I'm still like, I still can run, but it's kind of that like all or nothing mentality. It's good and bad because I don't waste time on things like golf. I like golf, but I'm not good. So like, I'm not going to waste time being bad at golf. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's good and bad. You know what I'm trying to say. So
how do you get good at something?
when you have time, then you allocate the time to get good at it. But
I think you have
I'm
to
not
want
gonna.
too, right?
Yeah, 100%. But I don't even like playing in charity tournaments because I'm like, I don't enjoy it when I'm bad.
Yeah.
I enjoy the time with the people there,
'Cause you
but
can
I
get
don't need
bingey.
to. I don't need to play.
So
Like a time
hold on.
limit.
What if you went out with like 3 other players that were also equally or worse than you?
I wouldn't enjoy it. I don't like being
Really?
bad at things. 100%. Do you like being bad at things?
No.
Yeah, no one does.
But
I
that's
don't
why
think anyone
that's why
does.
you
Do
change it and you make it better.
But that's what I'm saying. If I don't have the time to do it, I'm aware enough now where I'm like, I'm just not going to do it.
Right.
Which I don't know if that's a good thing in that I think it is.
I think you're being selective with your time.
And then lastly is probably being less emotional with I've let the kids and lack of sleep, and it's easier said than done, obviously, affect my emotional state too much lately, where I should just be like, I'm not in the right mindset. I'll revisit things later and not like lose my temper, which again, easier said than done. But it's something that the next day you're like, clearly I was just exhausted.
Right.
And in the moment you want to be stubborn and be like, I don't need sleep. And it's something I say all the time, but everyone needs sleep. Like we need sleep. No snooze, but you need to snooze a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. No snooze does not mean no sleep.
And it's I don't know how to say it, but it's like it's frustrating to me trying to change, and I'm trying to get less frustrated because if you're frustrated, you don't continue to do stuff. But I get frustrated with myself too easily when I don't make the change fast.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Mhm.
I'm being too tough on myself when it comes to certain stupid things. Where in like reality, I should be like, well, all right, it didn't work this time. Like try again.
Right.
Just try again. Like versus like, wow, you did it again. You did it again. Which makes it worse because then you're thinking about not doing it, so you do it.
Yeah.
It's like when you're not hitting the ball in the water with golf. Like,
Right.
don't hit in the water. Don't any
And then
fucking
you
keep
just
hitting
hit
in the water.
Yeah, that actually sparked another bad habit of mine, and I think
We can go all day with
I know.
this.
I guess it's engaging in like toxic behaviors, of myself. Definitely frustration for sure. I get frustrated too easily sometimes. And
is
then
it
also
frustrated or frustrated? Because that's another debate.
Frustrated.
No, 100%. I don't know.
frustrated.
I've heard it both ways.
frustrated.
Yeah, I've heard frustrated.
Like fussiness, but
anyway,
frustrated.
go ahead. Sorry.
So yeah, getting frustrated, being a little dramatic at times for sure.
You're a big drama queen.
I'm big drama, big drama, the big drama.
The big queen.
But also like I know there are certain people in my life, whether it's friends, family members, and I'm sure we all have these people. They're like energy drainers on certain things, right? You can have really good people around you, which I do, but there's certain individuals that do carry these like toxic traits that I'm very aware of, but I engage with them. And like, if they're having a bad day, instead of me just like, kind of like, blowing it off unless they want to talk to me, I'm like going back and forth and like kind of getting in like a combative mode with them for no reason. So I want to engage less in toxic behaviors in 2023.
It's hard though. That's
No
hard.
toxic shit in 2023, all right?
It's hard though because you try to be like on your island, but then people are like, "Oh, you're so closed off and unemotional." But
Yeah.
you're like, "Do you want me to chime in?"
Right,
And
right.
I don't agree with you. Do you want me to like versus just ignore it?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is to that because that's hard. Because I'm the majority, and I had struggled with this. A lot of times I'm having a convo and I'm like, I don't care, like, which is so bad to say, but like with anything, just random stuff, I find myself like drifting off, and maybe it's the ADD and all this other stuff that's going on. But there are times where I'm like, I don't know if I should engage because I have nothing to contribute to this conversation, and there's nothing I can do to help you. Like you're just venting, which is fine. Like I'm here if you want to vent, but I can't add anything, you know? Yep. But I guess that's life. I guess that's the human experience.
Yes. Oh, very good term. The human experience.
I don't know. What I'm coming to realize as you get older with kids, the chaos, you don't like nothing. We've said before, nothing's perfect. Like there's no rules. We're all just trying to figure this out. Everyone's working on all their problems. Everyone's got problems. Everyone's got stuff going on. So how do you go through life being a good friend, a good family member, a good spouse, whatever it is, a good parent, but also keep your sanity and be like good with like, does it start from a place of being like a monk where you're unshakable and then people can throw stuff at you, but it bounces off and you're just able to like give? You know, but then does that drain you? I don't know. It's something like I try a bunch of different ways, like deliberately, and catch myself. It's still not working, and you're like, I thought that was it. Like I think, and I don't know if you do this. Everyone's trying to figure it out, and it's frustrating because there's no like, it's not one answer in one time and moment. It's constantly changing.
Yes,
you have to be different for different people, different times. There's a certain amount of emotion that's required from you in different moments. There's no like, you just have to be this even keel.
Yeah, that's a good piece in management too for people. It's a different realization, but it goes against the typical term of treat people the way that you want to be treated, right? And you said something about treating everybody differently, which is very true because you have to treat people the way they want to be treated.
Which is hard because sometimes you don't know how they want to be treated.
Exactly.
You're like, how do you want to be treated?
Yes.
But I think it starts with the whole monk thing, where if you're unshakable and you're bringing a lightness to your life, like a lightness in a sense of like, it could be a stressful situation, but you're kind of going at it head on with a positive attitude, which is very foo-foo. But if you can control that, then I think, yes, some people will get to you that are super like draining, but they're going to be like, this guy's like always positive or whatever. He's always in this mode where he's just trying to tackle these things.
He's always on.
And it's not that it doesn't faze him. He hears you out and he hears what you're saying, but he just keeps going about his day. You know? I don't know.
I want to be that guy.
Yeah, I mean, I think with like the fitness thing, right? You have that dialed in, like you're that guy, like no matter what, you're going to work out, right? In theory.
Colonoscopy, no colonoscopy, I'm working out.
Which is crazy. That still blows my mind.
And I rode a bike too.
Mark my words, if I ever get a colonoscopy and I talk about it here, yeah, I'm not riding a bike, and B, I'm probably not squatting.
No, that's funny. Very good. Well done.
Sometimes we go on rants and I feel like we don't say anything, but it's what people think.
Yeah, that was bad habits, but we just literally said everything bad about us.
But that vent of like not knowing what's what is like, I feel like everyone doesn't know what's going on, and we're all trying to figure the same stuff out.
That's true, though.
And no one effing knows.
Very true.
Like, subscribe, NoSnoozeShop.com. Did you update the credit card?
No.
You gotta do it.
Well, you want me to just
from the
just go in?
Because my credit card is canceled because of BlockFi went out of business.
Oh boy! All right, I can do that. Talk to me.
Last question.
Keep that in, by the way. That's great content.
I want to listen to more personal development podcasts, but honestly, I find them boring at times. Hopefully, they're not talking about ours.
Yeah.
What are your go-tos, and how would you go about starting a routine with this?
Good question. So, my go-tos, besides No Snooze Podcast, check them out. Go follow, like, subscribe, all that.
Let me guess. Ed Milet
Show, the Ed Milet Show, for sure.
David Goggins.
David Goggins doesn't really have content like that that's consumable besides his books and stuff, but I did pre-order his book.
I'm trying to think what else.
Real AF with Andy Frisella. But lately, Andy has gotten a little like too opinionated on the politics.
Oh.
And that's not really like personal
Takes away
growth for me. But he does a lot. He brings a lot of guests on. He does like short Q&As, like this type of stuff, which I love. On Purpose with Jay Shetty.
I like him. Great eyes.
That's definitely a good one. And then I do a little bit of Lewis Howes,
He's
right,
good too,
for personal, and then Joel Osteen.
Okay.
Those are definitely my go-tos. And then I understand what you're saying about the personal development podcast being a little bit boring, because I feel this as well. But I think you do have to learn how to like shift the perspective of that. I used to tend to think that everything that these people are saying is so important that I need to remember it all. But I shifted that and said, you know what? If I just listen to a podcast, my goal for that day is to take one really important piece of information away.
Yep.
So it takes me back off of like trying to focus so deeply on every word that's being said versus looking at one thing. I can go from hearing what is being said and then the actual execution, right? So taking information and then actually being able to execute on it. I've shifted my perspective in that because I found it boring as well when I'm sitting there like jotting every single thing down that the people are saying, when really you just need to listen for like one or two like really good ideas.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I said before, and I think we've said in the past, is we were just talking about before. When you're consuming content, it might not even be the content that you're listening to that sparks a new idea, right? You might just come up with your own idea off of something that was said. Now I jot that down.
Yeah.
You know, but I hear you. It can definitely be a little bit more. But moral of the story is go follow No Snooze.
Sorry. I was going to say, I mean, there has to be some kind of a balance as well because, I mean, you know, if you're constantly intaking all this information, all this positive things or these development things, your mind doesn't always want to be on the on. Sometimes if you feel bored and you don't want to listen to something, maybe it's good to not listen to something.
Oh, that's right.
And maybe do something.
They did say structure, right?
And do something that you like or listen to something that you like and something that's more kind of, it makes you the feel good.
Yes.
You know, I think, you know, if you go into percentages, I'm sure if you're doing like an 80-20 or something like that, it's still pretty good.
Absolutely.
Because if you're always trying to do the 100% podcast, you know, positive development, and it's always the same thing, eventually you're going to get tired.
Yes.
And you can draw inspiration from anything.
Right.
Like I draw more inspiration from the creative stuff that I watch and listen to, which is less percentage-wise than I do like the personal development stuff.
Sometimes just even having so let's say you do listen to some podcasts or whatever and they're fun or you like them because they're good stuff.
Yeah.
And then you have a conversation with friends or with people and then you bring that stuff out. I think that's almost even better than just fixating on how many podcasts can I listen to because I want to get my repetition.
Yeah.
And yes, we know that's a key to kind of get to a better place. But sometimes just the act of like get that out, talk to people, get that creativity, because I'm sure that conversation, that statistic that you remember, you bring it up and you have a conversation, and other people's conversation can then spark a whole bunch of different creative juices in you.
Yeah. No, totally good point, because the reality is you're living your day-to-day life. So what CV's saying, which makes a lot of sense, is like it depends on the time that you're having in reality. Like you're learning and then you're implementing, like you said. So it all depends on what's going on in your day-to-day. That really dictates, well, I don't even know what I said. That really dictates what I listen to.
Dictates. Well, this is not an outtake. This is a dictate.
That's an app somewhere, I think. So they say like you can read the same book twice, and depending on your stage of life, you're going to have a completely different takeaway.
Right.
So Hermosi, which I like, I think he's a little too matter of fact.
Yo,
He's very like
he's serious,
bland.
Sometimes it's a little much, right?
So I like him, but
his ideas are great. He's a genius.
He comes from a very analytical, like matter of fact, personality that's very dry, which I take with a grain of salt because that's not how I want to be. Right. I don't want to be like you give me an idea and I rip it apart and then, but it's good, right? So he's someone I listen to for tactics and like specific. I need something quick. What can I use today in my mailer? Like I literally take what he says and I try it in a mailer. Mm-hmm. That's that guy. Gary Vee, when I started out, was very like overall vision, strategy, like big picture stuff. But he's someone that really got dull on me because he repeats and he says it. He's like, I repeat everything. So I think when you're doing it right, you outgrow these people that you're working or you're being digitally mentored by. So like Gary Vee, I always revisit him because I want to see what's going on in updates, and like when it's very tactical, I like it. But he's a certain flavor. Patrick Bet-David is someone that I gravitated towards. He's into politics now, which is fine. He's very strategic. But what I came to find out was like I was listening to too much stuff, and I needed to pick like my core group and then pick one person to model my life after. And when I say pick one person to model, like not exactly, but like I'm rocking with his point of view as far as like, I think they like this, you know, like, so I would say lately, Hermosy's probably the one I try to reflect the most as far as I try to listen to him the most, because I think his stuff is very tactical, very like sales oriented, which is what I need in my life right now, is to execute.
Right.
Like when he says it's a numbers game, which you've said a million times, but it's him saying it, so like he's a billionaire. So I'm like, all right,
No, he's not.
Dave's right,
He's
but
not a
Alex is really right.
But he's not a billionaire.
He's gonna be in like,
Oh, he will.
he's
be.
worth like 300 million. He's
I think he's worth
30 years
100.
old. He's 30. He's our age.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So anyway, for me, it's been, where am I in my life currently? What are my challenges? And what person do I think by listening to can help me get there? So it's him. There's a guy who sells commercial real estate or invests in commercial real estate that I love, but he doesn't put a lot of content out. Matt Onofrio. I think the guy's a genius. Pre-ordered his book. I don't know where it is. And then lately, a lot of negotiation stuff with the guy, Chris Voss. I really like what he's doing, and he put out a book about real estate. So I like been consuming that, and I listened to Alex, and I'm rereading that like every day, different excerpts when I need it. So I'm trying to like revisit it every day, and not just read a million books.
Right.
I'm trying to read the book to the point where I suck the juice out of that, and I go to the next thing.
Yep.
So it's very different than have been in the past. In the past, everything, give me everything, but then you get confused.
Yeah, of course.
Like even workouts, right? Remember when I used to jump around with like people who work out? Like now I basically only listen to Mind Pump, and for entertainment, I watch like Chris Bumstead. That's it. I don't do any more like I'm doing the big boy workout or, you know, what's the dude he works out with? Cali Muscle.
Cali Muscle. Oh, yeah. No, good stuff. Yeah, and I think I definitely can.
Do you have a guy that you're like replicating? You're trying to replicate?
I mean, I want to be as well-rounded as Ed Milet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like my alignment in my life is not nearly as aligned, for lack of a better word, as his is. And I think his intention on everything is very structured, and like even his fun is extremely structured.
Yeah.
But it all comes back to like this center, you know, core value. And he's big into faith as well, which I've always been kind of open on this podcast about, like, really growing in faith. But still being able to do all the things that I do anyway.
And is he your favorite podcast? And do you think the person you pull the most value from?
Yes, for sure. He helped me change my life.
I mean,
as crazy as that.
No,
sounds,
it makes a lot of sense. Think about it. If you listen to an hour of him every day, which you probably listen to more.
I'm caught up already. So
yeah, which is crazy. Think about how much content he puts out. It's crazy. So like someone that recently got into the podcast game was Rob Dyrdek. He was my idol growing up because he had a lot of fun. He built a lot of businesses. And where he is in his life, like I try to think if I could literally replicate what he did in my lane, I would do it.
Right.
And now he talks about efficiency, optimizing every day, enjoying your life, having time for the family. So like I think it's very valuable to look at someone as a person and then say, all right, well, I'm going to learn about them and really try to stay up to date on their podcast.
Right.
And at least do that with one podcast. Everything else is like bonus. But if you can do that with one, then you can structure what you're trying to do based on what they're doing, and you can reevaluate, but try to stick to it for a little while. Right? I mean,
absolutely. I mean, I would honestly, if I were you, I'd start with the No Snooze podcast. Start episode 1. You got 128 episodes to listen to, and then come back to us when you're done with that.
So do you think if I took away, and sorry, but if you took away every other podcast you listen to, and I just said you just have Ed Milet,
I'd be good.
You'd be good.
I'd be good.
So that's how I'm trying to think about, like, for me too. I'm like, if I took away if I only could listen to one, which one would I listen to? And that's where I like make my choice of who I'm really riding with.
Yeah.
Mine would probably be Hermosi, although I don't want his life because it's very different than it's not a knock, but he's got no kids. He's very all about work. His wife's all about work with him. They're working together.
Yep.
And it's just something that like, I don't see it. Doesn't drive like I don't know. It's just different, like person wise, but value wise, I'd rock with him.
Right. Yeah. Good conversation. I like it. Good questions, man.
Do you have one CV that you would pick?
You listen to podcasts or not really?
Just one. The No Snooze Podcast.
That's right.
Well, it's fair.
That's right.
Faithful.
That's right.
And you could even really just cut out Dave, and then you'd really have the No podcast.
And I listen to it 2 and 3 times each episode. That's how dedicated I am.
Probably drives you nuts.
You know what though? It is crazy though. Instagram really provides like a lot of value. Take somebody who does listen to what we do, right? I try to take out like, the golden minutes of what we do. Cause a lot of it is entertainment too as well.
Yeah.
We just bullshit back and forth.
Very entertaining.
Yes.
Let's not short sell.
Very
entertaining.
Very entertaining. But for the most part, you can literally like not even have a favorite podcast, and you can have like a couple Instagram accounts that you can just get 100%. Like, inspired in 60 seconds.
The hard part of that though, is being able to filter all the crap
100%.
From like the good stuff.
Yeah.
And that could be like time consuming and energy draining.
Well, you got to take
a lot.
You got to take
crap
2 days to clean your Instagram.
Yeah.
You should go like follow intentional accounts and like remove the accounts that like bring the stupid things into your like algorithm. And then typing in the positive hashtags and that type of stuff, and it'll start coming up.
That's a great point. Like one of the challenges in the new year and just in general is the amount of input that's coming in, especially now that we're like more public. The amount of people that try to take your time and sanity, it's like 10 times the amount that it was even a year ago.
And that's only going to get
worse.
I think 10 times worse.
So to CV's point, like really figuring out like, all right, well, if I'm getting all these calls, like to do all this stuff, like what do I want to put my time into?
Right.
What do I believe in?
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't do everything. And that reality is more and more, it's a different shift now.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like, it was hunting mode. And now we're going into like, I don't even know, preservation mode. Like it's a different mode. When you're in hunting mode, you say yes to everything, you kill everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're like trying to open a little restaurant, it's like, well, I don't want that. You're more of like filtering.
Right.
So filtering is a great term. I was actually thinking of getting another phone and using that just for my content so that when I'm developing stuff, I don't get distracted on like the dings, or like having some type of separation where, because I find myself, and I don't know if you do it, I'm on Instagram trying to do something and like I went for a specific purpose, or even go to like my MLS on my phone and something pops up and I click it, and then all of a sudden 5 minutes has passed. I'm like, what the hell? How does that get me?
Yeah, I don't think that happens to me on Instagram. Like I literally go in, even if something pops up, but I have all my notifications off.
Yeah, see, I got to do that.
I keep them off.
That's good.
Like my text messages and stuff, I keep them.
Everything's on because...
Yeah, it's business for you.
But it's, I mean, I guess I could...
But then I have my work phone. So like I know if it's really critical,
nice.
You know what I mean? But then it's also annoying because then you have to move around with 2 phones.
And I love my watch, but it's a deterrent because everything goes to my watch when I'm working out. Everything pops up. It vibrates when a ring call. So it's like, is it really... If I have it in my pocket... Maybe it's it's nice because you can silence stuff.
My Rolly doesn't do any of that, so I mean, I think you should just get the Rolly.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna steal like your headphones.
No, that's
don't bring
good,
those
man.
to the gym.
So I'm going to spare everybody and
thank effing God.
Not leave us with a dime, but rather just say thank you to everybody.
That's a dime right there.
Yes, it is. But the truth is, this is fun for us, but it's also a lot of work that goes in on, whether it's Instagram, whether it's editing, whether it's just showing up here. So it's been a lot of hours, a lot of time, but it makes it, worth it when you see all the content shared throughout the platforms, when you see statistics like this. We're definitely trending upward, which is great. Obviously we'd like to bring in more partnerships and monetary things like that, but you can't get to that level without going through the process of what we've done. So whether you've listened to us one time or you've rocked with us for the past 128 times of doing what we do, genuinely want to say thank you and want to wish you a happy new year. A healthy and safe one at that, from your boys over at No Snooze.
And like I say, it might be my slogan for 2023. We're just getting warmed up.
I believe that.
It's a good slogan.
It is.
Right? Doesn't it get fired up?
But we're gonna be like 97 with like my beard is gonna be fully gray. And we're gonna be like, we're just getting warmed up, baby.
I've thought about this.
Just getting warmed up.
I've thought about this. I want to do the Barry Sanders. I want to like make it to the pinnacle and people like they're unstoppable and then just disappear. I'm 100% serious.
It's a good way to do it.
Like you get to such a point where people like they have it like, and then it's like, all right, I did it. I'm good.
I'm out.
I'm out. You like everyone else, you can fight over content. Like, I'm good. I'm just going to have my buildings and I'm just going to live my life.
You wanted to be 10% for years. Now I'm going to go be 90%.
I'm going to be a doorman. I always joke about this. I'm going to be a doorman at like a luxury building, but I'm going to own the building. But people be like, this doorman's out of his mind. And then they realize like, that's the guy who owns the building.
That's a good goal.
Wouldn't that be hilarious?
Just be the doorman that owns
You'd be
the
like,
building.
this guy Mike's outside of our building every day. Like, does he work? Like, and then they're like, oh, and you look it on the tax card. You're like, he owns the building.
That's so good.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Any last words?
No, I think you summed it up beautifully. I like when you hit the nail on the head and you speak eloquently, because then I say ditto and then we're there.
Beautiful.
Big year ahead. We're going to big things are coming. I think it's gonna be a rough year as far as like the news, and I think it's going to be tough. I think we're in for a little headwind here.
I mean, my personal opinion, I think financially we're fucked in 2023.
What a good, it was so positive.
No, I'm serious. I think from a like a
Who knows,
America standpoint, you know, I don't think even in the like housing market, right? Like it's a little rough
We're gonna see
in
what
terms
happens.
of interest rates and stuff like that, because I'm looking to make this investment, you know what I'm saying? I'm keeping my options open as well. But I do think during times like this, like I always look to you for this perspective, during times like this, you know, the real winners come out on top. So being able to, you know, I know you're going through the mud right now.
A lot of mud.
In terms of, you know, building your brand out with Mike Pirelli, Greenwich Real Estate. But
did you see the update? mpgre.co.
That's hard. I'm surprised you did that.
Do you want to ask me why?
I absolutely now. And we should keep it on air. No. So in my head, I'm like, I know Mike likes to simplify things.
Yeah.
But when you look at what is it?
mpgre.co.
mpgre.co. So
Mike Pirelli Greenwich Real Estate.
I know, I get it, company, right?
Yeah. But mpgre
can you
available.
still type Mike in, or do you have to?
Yeah, if you type Mike Pirelli Greenwich, it comes up.
So what's the play? Why'd you do that?
So the play is when I do emails, people are like, what's your email? And I'm like, Mike@MikePirelliGreenwichRealEstate.com. Mouthful, right? I still have all the domains. It's just now it's gonna be Mike@mpgre.co. So you're gonna see that, and if you type that in, it'll go to my website. When you type that in, it'll expand and say MikePirelli.com. mpgre.com was not available. So I'm the type where if you had the availability to buy it, like if I could buy it, I would have bought Mike Pirelli Greenwich Real Estate or mpgre.com, right? I would have bought it. It's not available. So I'm not going to waste my time trying to pursue it and then someone throw a crazy number.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, what can I do? Let me just shorten it one letter, mpgre.co, and get that. So then I could use that as an email. And then I've changed my YouTubes. I'm changing everything to that. And it gives you more of a company feel versus a personal person feel, right? Like if you said, MPGRE, what company versus Mike Pirelli Greenwich Real Estate, that sounds like a mom and pop. MPGRE sounds like a company. So that was the thought. Who knows? I could always adjust back.
Yeah, of course.
But it's like Kanye to Ye. You know, not a great example lately, but
Hey, Kanye to you.
That's the thought.
Yep,
Sure, you just simplify it.
Yeah. Callie's at this phase where you ask her to read a word and she just says ABCD.
Yeah.
So to me, it's just ABCD.
Yeah, ABCD. Yeah.
I swear. I'm like, Callie, read this. She's like, ABCD.
Yeah. Isn't it funny when they try to read the books, but they're not really reading it?
Yeah.
They're just like, and babies.
I'm telling you, Callie sees words. It's just ABCD. That's it.
That's cute.
No, good stuff, man. Listen, Happy New Year. Safe. Blessings. Gratitude to you all. We love you very much. We appreciate you. And until next time, until next year.
Wow.
Stop snoozing.
Get up and get after it.
Wow. Until next year.
And I'll see you on the other side. Bear season.
That's another Effie in the books. Go follow us on Instagram and Facebook at No Snooze Podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, No Snooze.